A beautiful autumn afternoon. The camera pans across the cozy living room of Cari Champion's grandmother's house. The warm glow of the sunset spills through the windows, casting a soft light on the room. Cari is seated across from her grandmother, whose white hair and wise eyes reflect a life filled with rich experiences. The camera zooms in as Cari looks at the camera, addressing the audience with a calm, steady voice. Cari Champion smiling gently, speaking directly to the camera. Hey, everyone. Today, I have something very special to share with you. This right here is my grandmother, who has lived an incredible 95 years. She's seen it all. The ups, the downs, the changes in the world. And let's just say, she's no stranger to a little bit of controversy. And today, she's going to tell us a story. A very personal one, about a decision she made a few years ago, a decision that left her questioning everything. It's about politics, regret, and what happens when the road you thought was the right one ends up being the wrong one. Trust me, you're going to want to hear this, grandmother, with a kind smile, but a hint of mischief in her eyes. Oh, Cari, trust me. I've had my fair share of, that didn't go as planned moments. But, hey, we live. We learn, right? The initial decision. Why she voted for Trump. The camera zooms in on grandmother, who's now sitting back in her favorite armchair, holding a cup of tea. She takes a small sip before continuing her story. Her eyes distant, as though she's remembering a time that feels far behind her. Grandmother speaking slowly, with a reflective tone. Well, back in 2016, when the presidential election came around, I was just like everyone else. I was glued to the TV, watching debates, listening to the candidates, trying to make sense of it all. And then came Donald Trump. Now, I know what you're thinking, Grandma. You didn't, did you? And yes, Cari, I did. Cari Champion, raising an eyebrow, grinning slightly. Wait, you mean you voted for Trump? Really? Grandmother laughed softly, shaking her head. Yeah, I did. At the time, he seemed like a breath of fresh air. I mean, here's a guy who wasn't a career politician, who claimed he was going to shake things up, who promised to make America great again. And let's face it, Cari, after decades of watching politicians dance around issues, I thought, maybe someone who's not from the system could actually do something. Maybe someone who's not from the system could actually do something. Cari Champion, looking skeptical, but amused. So, you bought into the whole outsider thing, huh? Grandmother, chuckling. I guess I did. I thought, here's a guy who doesn't owe anyone anything. I figured, what's the worst that could happen? I wanted change, and I was ready to take a risk. I guess I was just so tired of the same old, you know? The unexpected turn. The growing disappointment time passes, and things start to change. The camera shows grandmother sitting in her living room, the light dimming as the evening sets in. Her hands are folded on her lap, and her expression has shifted to one of contemplation and concern. Grandmother, her voice growing somber, eyes now fixed on the floor. But, Cari, after he was elected and started making decisions, I started to have second thoughts. You see, I thought he was going to make things better. The economy, jobs, and all that jazz. But the more I saw, the more disappointed I became. The policies, the rhetoric, they weren't what I signed up for. Cari Champion, looking more serious now, intrigued. Disappointed in what exactly? What about his decisions started to bother you? Grandmother, sighing deeply, shaking her head. It wasn't just the way he handled things. It was the way he treated people. The way he spoke about immigrants, about minorities, about women. His lack of respect for anyone who didn't fall in line with his ideas started to really weigh on me. I didn't think that was what I was voting for, and I started to wonder, is this really the kind of America I want to live in? Cari Champion, nodding, leaning in. Yeah, I get it. He wasn't exactly the unifying figure you were hoping for, huh? Grandmother, giving a wry smile. Unifying, he was the complete opposite. The more I saw, the more I realized I had made a huge mistake. I was duped. I wanted change, but not this kind of change. The realization, the regret sets in. It's late at night, the living room bathed in the soft glow of a lamp. Grandmother is sitting alone in the dark, a look of regret on her face. Cari is sitting beside her, gently holding her hand, listening intently. Cari Champion, softly, almost with a tinge of sadness. Grandma, when did you realize that you had made a mistake? How did it feel when it hit you? Grandmother, her voice cracks slightly as she speaks. It hit me like a ton of bricks, Cari. You know, when you see the damage unfolding in real time, it's hard to ignore. The protests, the division, the anger. I realized that the decision I made, the vote I cast, wasn't just about politics. It was about the future of this country and what kind of example we're setting for future generations. I was so busy focusing on the promises he made, I didn't pay enough attention to the people he was hurting. Cari Champion, gently squeezing her grandmother's hand. So, do you regret it? Do you wish you could go back and change your vote? Grandmother, eyes filled with emotion. A hint of regret in her voice. More than you know, Cari. More than you know. If I had the chance to do it over again, I would have voted for anyone but him. I'd rather have stayed in the comfort of knowing my vote wouldn't contribute to that kind of divisiveness. The lessons learned. Moving forward. Grandmother and Cari are sitting together, both looking at each other with a sense of understanding. The camera slowly zooms in as they share a moment of quiet reflection. Cari Champion, looking earnestly at her grandmother. So, what lesson do you think we can take from this? I mean, it's not just about politics, right? It's about life, too. Grandmother, nodding slowly, her voice firm but warm. The lesson? It's simple, really. Don't let your emotions drive your decisions. Don't let promises from someone who's never been in the trenches fool you. Politics isn't about who can yell the loudest. It's about who's actually going to make lives better. And I learned the hard way that not every outsider is there to help. Sometimes they're just there to shake things up. And not in a good way. Cari Champion, smiling with admiration. Wise words, Grandma. Thank you for sharing that with all of us. I think it's important that we all learn from our mistakes and make sure we don't repeat them. Cari Champion, turning to the camera, her voice soft but powerful. So, there you have it. A story of regret, growth, and lessons learned the hard way. My grandmother's journey isn't just about politics. It's about being honest with ourselves and learning from the choices we make. No one's perfect, and we all mess up, but it's how we grow from those mistakes that defines us. I hope you take something away from this, and maybe even share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thanks for watching, Grandmother, smiling softly, with a knowing look. Remember, no one's ever too old to learn. And if you can't fix the past, at least try to make the future better. That's all we can do. Cari Champion, giving a warm smile. Absolutely. Thanks again, Grandma. And to all of you watching, don't forget to make thoughtful decisions, both in life and at the polls. Until next time, take care. If this story resonated with you, share it with friends and family. Leave a comment below and let us know what lessons you've learned from your own experiences. And don't forget to subscribe for more.